Hey folks, I have your latest home prices and insights for York Region for week ending November 3rd. Before I get into the numbers, let me let you in on some of the conversations I'm having with sellers at this time of the year. And it's not just this year, but every year at this time, I have similar conversations. And it's basically, do I sell now or do I wait for the spring? And I should say, like this over YouTube, I can't decide that for you. What we need to do is go through your individual particular situation and decide what makes sense and what's best for you and your family. And only you can decide that. But some of the thought process is this. Do you feel prices will be higher in the spring? Then maybe you should wait for the spring. Maybe that makes more sense. Do you feel prices are higher now? Then maybe selling now makes more sense. Does your home show better in the spring versus now? Some homes will show better in the winter than they do in the spring. So all sorts of things to consider. And what about timing for you and your family and what makes sense? And you got kids going to university. Is the house going to be more empty? All these different factors come into play. The one thing, though, I do want to talk about is what some sellers have. A lot of sellers have the mentality in their head, winter's bad, spring is good. That used to be true years ago. It's not so much anymore. This year, for example, let's use 2021 as an example. Spring did not start May, April. Spring started second week of January. We had sales shoot through the roof already second week of January in the middle of winter, February, January and February. It's cold. We had the best sales we had of any January, February. This past Christmas, a year ago, we sold properties between Christmas and New Year's, more properties than we've ever sold before. So that line of winter, spring, that's old school. This year, right now, currently, our prices now are way higher. They're $200,000 higher than they were in March and April this year. So if that's the only obstacle, that winter is bad, spring is good, that's not true. I'm still not saying now it makes sense for you to sell. That's a conversation we need to have on a personal, and discuss your own situation. But winter bad, spring is good, that's just not true anymore. And these are the conversations that are coming up on a lot of sellers' minds right now. If you want to reach out to me, talk anything at all about real estate, we've made it really simple. In the description below, there's a link to my calendar. Just book a time and I'll know ahead of time when you want to chat and I'll make sure I'm available. And we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Let's get into the numbers. Okay, so let's start off with condos for all of York Region. For week ending November 3rd, we sold 61 condos. It's a little bit lower than what we sold the previous week, but 61, if we look at kind of what we've been doing for the year on a weekly basis, 61 is about normal. It's middle of the range there. Now, we sold no properties, no condos at $1 million or more for this current week. The previous week we sold 4. So you figured average sold price would come way down. Well, it came down, but only by about $9,000. The average sold price is sitting at $694,000, down just $9,000 from the previous record week of $703. So condo prices are up, and it's pretty simple to see that as you see the trajectory going up there. $694,000 is 22% higher than last year's average sold price. 59% of the condos selling in York Region sold at list price or more. So it's somewhat competitive. It's definitely not the most competitive market that we have in the GTA. Listings are way down, which I got to tell you, that bothers me. I wish we had more listings, but I'm here reporting the news. I'm not making the news. and we're sitting at 0.7 months of inventory, with 15 days being the average days on market. So there's some opportunities there as far as you don't have to buy immediately with some of the condos. You can put in financing conditions and inspection conditions on some, and others you're going to be competing with quite a bit. Let's look at detached properties. I'm going to start off with Vaughan. Before I get into the weekly numbers, though, I want to share with you a chart that I find extremely interesting. There's tons of people out there saying, with prices these days, who's buying, or nobody can afford to buy. And I'm like, wow, these prices are high. Well, I've got 20 years here since the year 2000. Average sold price is going up, up, up. We're sitting now, for this year, I have the data up to October 31st as far as the yearly average goes. So far we're sitting at 1,729,000 versus last year. That's 22% higher than last year's average sold price, and compared to 2 years ago, it's 40% higher than the average sold price 2 years ago. 40%. So for people to think, who can buy, when they read a headline like that, you're right, who can buy? Well, let me show you something. These numbers here are the yearly sales. And so far, we still have 2 months left in the year. We're sitting at 2,402 detached properties sold in Vaughan so far this year. That's the second highest year we've had in 20 years. The first highest being 2016 at 2,721 detached properties. So 2,402, it's our second highest year. It's almost a record year. People are buying, even though we're sitting at the highest average sold price, obviously ever, but way higher than what anybody expected. Let's get into the Vaughan on a more closer look. We sold 38 detached properties in Vaughan last week. That's pretty low. 15 of those sold at $2 million or more. Way more than half. More than half the properties sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price, because of that, shot way up. Over $2,217,000 was the average sold price of a detached property in Vaughan last week. That's not a normal thing. We're not sitting way up there, but 1.8 to 1.9 seems to be about the norm. I'm sure that's going to level off over the next week or so. But that price, I'm reporting it the way it happens. It's sitting at 33% higher than last year's average sold price. Of the 38 that were sold, still very competitive, even though more than half were at $2 million or more. 74% of those properties, 3/4, sold at list price or more. Listings are down slightly to 49, and months of inventory is sitting at 0.9, with 16 being the average days on market. If you're looking for a detached home in Brampton, you want to keep an eye on this one. It's located in the family-friendly neighborhood of Northwood Park. It's 4 bedrooms and over 2,100 square feet above grade. The lot is an impressive 40 feet wide and 131 feet deep. That's why you have a massive backyard with plenty of room to play in. I can't show you photos of the inside just yet because the home is getting ready to go on the market, but I can tell you the sellers prefer a long closing, so there could be an opportunity here for you if you need extra time. Call me for details. Richmond Hill. For detached properties, we sold 33 detached properties in Richmond Hill. 13 were at $2 million or more, so still a high percentage over all the sales. average sold price is sitting at $2,043,000. Sounds like a lot. Well, we've been at $2 million several times this year already, just in the last few weeks. In the last 4 weeks, we've been over 2 million 3 of those 4 weeks. So 2 million, high 1.9, 2 million seems to be about the normal average right now for detached properties in Richmond Hill, which is 14% higher than what it was this year. This time last year, 58% sold at list price or more. Listings were up a little bit, which is nice to see. And we're sitting at 1.4 months of inventory, with the average days on market being 20. A little bit higher. Things are taking a little bit longer to sell in Richmond Hill than they are in Vaughan. And you'll see then also than what they are in Markham. Markham, we sold 50 detached properties last week. 14 were at $2 million or more. Average sold price is sitting $1,904,000. We've been up around 1.9 now, a couple times. 1,904,000 is 30% higher than last year's average sold price. Of the 50 we sold, 84% sold at list price or more. The minute you start to get into the 75%, 80%, in this case 84%, it's going to feel like all properties are selling at list price or more. We listed 66, exactly what we listed the previous week. We've been listing about 60 or so a week now for about a month and a half. Months of inventory sitting at 0.7, and 9 is the average days on market. When you look at all the months of inventory, very tight, very competitive. I know I sound like a broken record there, but that's the situation for detached properties in York Region and for condos. It is competitive. There are opportunities there still, but it's a competitive market. People are buying, people are selling. If you need any help, have any questions, please use the calendar in the description below to get a hold of me. Have a great day.